hard to imagine anybody other than Drew O'Connor opening up on Sidney Crosby's line this season. It's also hard to imagine or project how well he'll do. Good morning to you. Good Tuesday morning. I'm Dejan Kovacevic of DK Pittsburgh Sports. This is Daily Shot of Penguins. It comes your way bright and early every weekday. If you're into football and or baseball, I also offer daily shots of Steelers and Pirates in the same place that you found this. DOC had a terrific year. By any reasonable definition, a breakout year in the NHL in the 2023-24 season. Over 79 games, finishing with 16 goals, 17 assists, plus 14 rating, by the way. A couple of game winners in there. Nice looking shooting percentage of 10.0. And beyond the statistics, over that final month and change, meaning after Jake Gensel was hurt, then traded, he just looked like he fit in, didn't he? You didn't see Sid and Brian Rust needing to carry him at other points on the rink. If it meant making a sharp breakout pass or springing somebody, he'd do it. If it meant contributing to that sort of thing on the rush, he'd do that too. And you'd better believe he owned the forecheck. I feel like over that final month, he was as responsible as anyone for how productive both Sid and Rust were, because he would just win the puck and then not throw it away. In other words, you know what I'm talking about. You can picture it in your head, him ganging up on 2, even 3 guys deep in the attacking zone. He comes out of there with the puck, but then he does something smart with it. He's not just creating mayhem and hoping that 87 or 17 comes swooping in. To me, the ceiling is still very much there. He turned 26 years old, but he's a bit of a late bloomer when it comes to hockey because he came out of college as one of those types of free agents. But how much higher can he go from a production standpoint? I believe he has made himself an NHL fixture. Not that he's the type to get lazy about that sort of thing. He's definitely not. I believe he's finally pushed his way into the top 6 on as much of a permanent basis as you can get. Meaning, can you imagine how ridiculous it would be if he started out on the 3rd or 4th lines with this team? But I also know, and I respect this about this particular kid as much as anything, it's a subject that we talk about a lot through the long season. He sees himself as constantly amending his game. And this is a smart young man who's capable of doing that. He's not going to get locked into, well, this is my style, this is how I play. He's got that, but he keeps augmenting additional facets. And if that reminds you a little bit of the guy on his right wing over there, it should. Rust's been doing that his whole hockey life. Every time you think you've got Rust defined, he comes back and shows you something else. It might be a little back heel touch pass. It might be improving on how he kicks the puck to his stick while he's in full stride. It might be something as simple as shooting. Different types of shots, different ways to show shots. That's Rust 101. Well, I'm here to tell you that DOC's done a lot of that too. No matter how Mike Sullivan had originally cast him, and believe you me, Sullivan and his staff had DOC pretty much pegged as a banger, as a 3rd or 4th liner, somebody who'd be able to get you some size, jar the puck loose. He saw himself as a top 6 guy. And when he got his chances, to his inestimable credit, he seized them this past season. So what's that mean? Does he, go completely berserk above any and all career norms like Zach Hyman did in Edmonton last winter? No. Okay, probably not. But when I look and see that he had 16 goals in 79 games last season, and within that, he had 0, count them, 0 power play goals. By the way, he's never had a power play goal in parts of 4 NHL seasons. And then you factor in at his average ice time was 15:45, which isn't all that great, but that also weighs when he was a bottom six guy for the better part of the season. And he ended up with 160 shots. And the 160 is a decent number. It's 2 a game. But here's what I'll put to you, and I can promise you I'm going to put it to him once camp convenes. What if he were to add the element to his game where he just puts that big frame in front and figures out ways to get the puck past the goaltender? What if, and I don't know that anything could or should be ruled out regarding the power play at this stage, he ends up being that guy. Not about to drop any kind of prediction here or whatever, but I could see this kid scoring a lot more than 16. Tell you that. When we come back, J1Q. This episode is brought to you by Bet Online, your number one source for all your summer sports needs this season, from Major League Baseball, golf, NHL, NBA playoffs. Get the latest odds and lines, including all team matchups, player props, odds on just about everything that's out there. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to get in on the action. Bet Online, where the game starts. Today's J1Q comes from Mark, and it's in regards to yesterday's episode about the possible odd men out, and specifically the portion in which I kind of took issue with absolutely nobody mentioning Sam Poulin. Mark responds, DK, it's not that we as the people who follow this team don't value Poulin. Speaking for myself, I just don't believe that Mike Sullivan's going to go with a young, unproven at the NHL level player when he has all these vets with NHL contracts swimming in his eyes, right? You know, I'd love to disagree with you. If you're a longtime listener to this program or reader of my stuff, you know that I feel strongly about Sullivan as an NHL head coach. You also know that I'll criticize him where it's warranted, and this is one area where he deserves all the blistering that he gets. Not talking about Poulin, of course. Just the general and hard lean toward the older guys in almost every case. And I'm not going to lie, when I saw some of these other players getting signed by Kyle Dubas, as much as I liked and still like the competition element, the options, the depth, the additional youth, the additional speed, the additional fire, I did also think to myself, man, Poulin's got no chance. Valtteri Pustinen's got no chance. And I don't even want to hear about pipe dreams like Braden Yeager or whatever, at least not this season. If Sullivan's going to have to teach somebody how to get the puck up off the boards, how and when to just flip it out, how to defend the red areas, the middle of the rink, he's going to lean toward the player who can already do those things, regardless of where those things were learned. So just to take Anthony Beauvillier as the example here, he's someone who, he was reared with the Islanders. The Islanders really, really, really tough in both directions. You're not suiting up in that uniform unless you're taking care of business. Been that way for quite a while there, and certainly since Uncle Lou made his initial trek out to Uniondale. Those are advantages for Beauvillier, for Blake Lizotte, for Kevin Hayes, for Cody Glass, and really even among your existing guys, for Noel Acciari, and of course for Lars Eller. So yeah, I can see what you're saying. It's a recurring narrative, but it's a recurring narrative for a reason. But here's as close as I'll come to a counter. And I mentioned this in a glancing way yesterday. Poulin at the AHL level scores, and he scores a lot, and it never feels all that odd or uncomfortable when he does. Sometimes those players, and since I referenced this in the opening segment about Drew O'Connor, I'll do it here as well, break through at the NHL level. They break out of a mold that they've got to be bottom six grinders. If Poulin were to have himself some sort of exceptional training camp, and again, I'm not predicting that, nor am I expecting it for that matter. I believe that he would very much put himself in the conversation for work. Steady work at that. But then we come to the other realization, and I've mentioned this a few times in the past as well, where I pose the question, is it Sullivan burying the kids, or is it the kids not bulldozing their way in? I appreciate the question. I appreciate everybody listening to Daily Shot of Penguins. We're going to do another one of these tomorrow.